Down, down. Down, down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da down 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 down. Down da down da diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle diddle down da down da diddle down da down da diddle 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 da.
G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Live Show. We are previewing round 22 and a big one it is, the semi-finals of the Content Creators Cup, and both your boys are in. Let's go!
Hodge has done it from nowhere. Hodge in the goal from inside the 30. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty.
Do you want to swap us back over, mate? What are you going to do? G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy. And the guy falling to sleep on my right here is Luke Roderson, mate. What's going on?
I like to keep the guys in suspense, and I'm trying to do two things. I'm trying to check that our audio's happening over here, and then I'm trying to do this over here.
Yeah.
I can't walk and chew gum at the same time,
Yeah,
so
well,
this is no chance.
3 more weeks. This is our third last live show of the season.
Indeed.
We're getting down into the pointy end. And what comes with that is the Content Creators Cup finals, the semi-finals, 4 teams left, and you're one of them, I'm one of them.
We're 50% of the teams left.
We're 50% of the teams. We must be doing all right, eh?
Well, I think I might have fallen over myself to make it into the semi-finals, but I'm happy to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and just get one last little win here to get to the granny would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be very, very good. Because you didn't make the finals last year for the CCC. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, you are.
I'm just saying you've improved. You've done. You've had a good season.
It was genuine. I thought you were rubbing it in.
You were shit. Now you're not shit. No, I'm
Thanks,
kidding. No. So that is a big thing happening this week, and another big thing that happened this week, which, look, to be honest, it's been a very sad mood in my household and potentially maybe less so in your household because
Brooke doesn't care about
only
footy.
half of you care, but Dustin Martin.
Done.
The GOAT. He's retired. He's done, and he's done it in classic Dusty fashion. Just no fanfare, no celebration game or
back
tour.
off into the hedges.
He's just he picks the Olympics to announce it as well. Everyone's watching the Olympics, not caring as much about footy, and he goes, "Yep, I'm not going to play again," and he's gone. So just a few thoughts on Dusty before we start talking about fantasy, because obviously we're both Richmond supporters.
I think we should have a beer for Dusty. What do you think?
Yeah, we should. To the great man. Cheers, Dusty. Good memories. Favourite Dusty memory or game? Or
we were fortunate enough to be at the Gabba for the grand final in 2020, and that was crazy, once in a lifetime opportunity.
That was awesome.
Just never going to happen for us again, and then to be there and to think the game was done at halftime and have him do what he did was pretty cool. So
yeah, I remember that goal that he kicked after I think he intercepted the ball off. It might have been a Tom Stewart or Dangerfield handball. Shrugged the tackle, snapped it on his boot. And the game was iced at that point, and that was celebration time. That was one of the best footy memories I have. I also remember another game watching him at the Gabba. I think it was like a prelim or something like that, and he kicked like 6 goals in that game against the Lions. I think this was like 2021 or something like that, or maybe it was 2019 before COVID. So. There's some good memories. Ellie's literally just texted me saying it was the quarterfinals. She can hear me speaking from downstairs.
She fact check it.
She's got all the Dusty memories. So, great man. No longer to be. But yeah, just wanted to get our memories in there. So, let's talk about some fantasy. Some other team reactions. There's not too much going on. It's pretty bare in the news this week, which is, I don't know, it kind of makes me a bit nervous. Like,
the calm before the storm.
Like,
we'll be right.
We'll be right. But anyway, big one. Josh Kelly is back for the Giants, but not Stephen Cornelio. How does this affect our boy Peatling? How does this affect him?
I think that there's going to be some sort of effect there. Obviously, not as significant as if you got Cogs back at the same time. But I'd like to think that most of the people that have gone Peatling are either going him at like an F7 or have the intention to potentially add that F7 this week with maybe a Pusis or something like that. So it could be one of those ones that you get a bit of Lupe fiasco action happening and you're not hurt too much with that.
So he was equal highest last week at 67% CBAs. Interesting, Tom Green's CBAs were also affected by the fact that Brent Daniels moved into the midfield a fair bit. He went up to 41%.
Killed it in the last quarter too.
And also Toby Green, I think, also saw some time in there as well. So, Toby Green was 41%. Brent Daniels was 33%. I'd have to think that those boys are going to get affected first before someone like Peatling, because they're great forwards, right?
Yeah.
So they're more effective in the forward line. So I'm optimistically hoping that he'll be okay and give us an 80-plus score. And if he plays early, you've got him on the bench, you emergency, loop it, you take that. So fingers crossed he can give us one more week before Cogs comes back. Other team news, Jaden Stevenson, injured for the Roos. He's owned by the number 1 coach. I do know that. But also might have a flow-on effect to the other players scoring around him. Which is interesting.
North Melbourne's just been a fascinating team all year, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, there's points to go around there, obviously, and a lot of relevant players. And then Billy Dowling got dropped, so this is what we call in the business a red dot heaven, because last game of the round, Lupe Fiasco City, you can pick any player in your forward line especially, which is what we want, to have a look at your scores. So hopefully you weren't using him as the guy to loop around.
Or to generate your cash this week as well.
Or generate the cash, but if he's kind of that other guy you can use to have a look at some of these scores, take it if they're good, trade someone in if they're not. So a few things happening there. I think we've got some super chats. What have we got first up?
First one jumped in there. Appreciate that one. It's keep Grundy without Laddams this week or get Marshall. So if you had Grundy there, would you be going to Marshall?
I would be going to Marshall. I think the top 2 rucks are just so far ahead of the other boys at this stage. And both of them have positive matchups this week. Collingwood were much tougher with Cox in the side than when it was just Darcy Cameron. So
you need Ryan Marshall, don't you?
Grundy, I think, can still go, even though it's better without Laddams there, but I still think he can go.
Yeah, for sure. And then Power Prawn Star jumped in with a a super chat as well. Appreciate that, gent. Serious
Is this the
question.
guy? Hold on. Is this the guy that never takes our advice? Is this?
Hey, but if he keeps sending money our way, I'll keep acknowledging it.
Should I answer the one that I think is legit or
No.
go the opposite? I'll straight bat.
You got to straight back. Only have 800k to get the last rookie off the ground mid spot. Willem Drew never tagged, getting it done every week.
Drew. Okay.
Curveball.
There's a curveball. They obviously have Melbourne this week. I've not ever really considered Willem Drew, to be honest. So, he actually is coming off a hot run of 4 games in a row. The issue is you look beyond those 4 games and he's got a 58-97, a 68, a 42, and those are all in 80+%. If you trade in a player and he goes a 42-point game in 86% time on ground, you're absolutely slitting your wrists. So my preference, if you're going to shop there, is actually to, I don't know if you have this player already, is Colby McKercher. I know he's a defender, but you're losing Jaden Stevenson.
Yeah.
I don't think Fisher is back in there. It's going to be his show down the back against the Eagles. I think that you could see a good game from him. Anyone else below 800k that you wanted to get in your midfield? There's not too many other people I can really think of. If you've traded out Hayden Young, I like him for this 1 week matchup. The rest look kind of gross to me, to be honest. Libba could be another one with a decent shout, but he hasn't really been getting it done.
Not the best matchup
recently. Matchup is average. So yeah, I think Colby is the one for me, despite him being a defender. But Will Drew's an interesting shout.
Few people sneaking in here with super chats, so we'll get to them. So Lixton is asking, should I go Pete over Pooh if my F6 is Manor? Can't loop next week as it's the Cats versus Saints. Also, lads, what does it say?
What's going to Nonna's for dinner?
Or what are we going?
Oh, what are we going for dinner?
Thai? Want to do Thai tonight?
Yeah, I could do Thai. Although I think I'm supposed to be cooking tonight, but I don't know. I'll see if I can change those plans between now and the time to actually eat. Peatling over
Peter Pooh.
If it means that you can't loop. This is an interesting question. So, I mean, it depends. Like, next week you might be trading another one of those forwards anyway.
Yeah, lots going to happen in a week.
I don't think I'd be trading in Peatling, especially with Cogs. He was a test this week. I mean, I feel like he's been a test for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't know what's going on there, but
I'm falling in love with the Pooh. I'm a Pooh guy.
Yeah, I mean, we're all Pooh guys here. But yeah, I think definitely go Marcus over Peatling, despite.
Even if it means you can't loop.
I feel super safe with him on the field, to be honest. His role is just as about as good as any other forward.
Yep.
I'd feel safer with him than bar 4 other players, basically, in the forward line. I'd always have him over Dylan Moore at this stage with his role.
What's Will's question there, Mitch?
Boys, held Dawson as an M9. Interesting. Do I trade him out this week for Philippou at F7 or instead move on Tom Green? Or should I hold both if Simpkin goes 90+? This is an interesting question. If Simpkin goes 90+, I don't think you're bothering getting in an F7 because you've already got that score ticked over.
I think I'd like to move on Tom Green.
So I traded out Tom Green last week, and I traded him out because, first and foremost, the Hawthorn matchup, which he'd scored a 70-odd last time they played. But his run of games after that was also tough.
He doesn't go into awesome matchups from here.
Brisbane, does he get a Berry or a Dunkley running with him? Because those are those bigger bodies that usually give him a bit of trouble. Is that something that we are expecting?
He could potentially, but aside from that fact, he's just not going into good matchups. And this time of year, if you've got a guy that is a chance at underperforming and he's not going into great matchups, you shift off that. I think
I'm pretty sure Dawson isn't going to good matchups either, though, is the only thing. So he's got Bulldogs, Port Sydney, and I feel much more confident in a bad matchup with Green than I do with Dawson. I don't know. Dawson's just been frustrating this year.
Hasn't been his year, has it?
No, so I think I'd still be getting rid of Dawson. The line for trading in F7, I think, is 80. If you loop, who was his loop? Simpkin. If he goes 80, you don't bother with that trade. But
Green and Simpkin playing at the same time influences.
Oh, Green and Simpkin. Well, in that case, I think you're holding Green.
Yeah.
You're holding
Shift on
Green,
Dawson then.
waiting on Simpkin, and then if he goes good, you're trading Dawson. If he goes shit, then you're trading Dawson to an F7. If he goes good, then you're trading Dawson to maybe, I don't know, something else that happens. Would be my boys.
Fantasy Fanatics.
Oh, we got a spam account. On a better note, good luck for the matchup, Mitch. Oh, he's giving me the moz. He's paying the moz here.
That's a straight Moz.
That's a straight moz.
If ever I've seen one.
Trying to the old good luck in your matchup. No. Good luck with you two, Bales. It is obviously going to be a big, exciting one. Hopefully it comes down to the wire and we can all just score 2600s and shake hands and move on. All right, we got one more trade.
First trade, Dempsey
here.
to Philippou. Second trade, English to Marshall. Or do I go Martin to Ryan?
That's a good question.
Martin or Ryan to Sinclair instead.
What do you think is a bigger priority? Getting in Marshall from an English, or getting rid of a Ryan or a Martin and getting to Sinclair?
I reckon Luke Ryan's score last round is a little bit of a porky pie.
I think it is too. I think Luke Ryan.
I'd almost want to get Ryan to Sinclair. Sinclair's just got the juiciest run of all time, and Luke Ryan, aside from last week, has stunk the house up. I mean, you want Marshall as well, but I think English is going to give you 110 minimum. Well, I say this. I think English is going to give you 110. I think Marshall could give you 130, but there's every chance Luke Ryan gives you 60 and Sinclair gives you 132.
Even with Luke Ryan having 2 tons in his last 5, and last week of 121, his last 5 average is less than 88. Sinclair's last 5 is something like 110. His last 5 is 105. So you're nearly 20 points better off in that situation, whereas the other ones, I can see worlds where you're flip-flopping between the two. So I think I agree with you. All right.
Okay, should we talk some trade targets?
Let's talk some trade targets. They haven't changed too much from the Monday or Sunday show, which we recorded straight after the round last time. So pretty straightforward, and it's felt like a week where, I don't know, the options have felt pretty, I don't know, straightforward to me, I guess is the best way to describe it. So in the defence, we've got Sinclair, we've got Newman, we've got Tom Stewart, all have good matchups to round out the year. All these three, plus Sheasel and Whitfield, to me make up the clear top 5 in terms of defence. I think that 6th spot is much harder to pick. You've got players like Dacos, Wanganeen Millera, Bailey Dale, some of those guys that you could argue for that sort of spot. But I think there's a top 5 emerging, and these 3 are included.
If you had your pick, money was no object, Sinclair and Newman, it's Sinclair this week?
I think it is. I think Sinclair, he didn't quite, but he nearly made the big boys list this week.
Yeah. I'm in a rough spot this week because if I want to get Sinclair, if I want to turn Martin into Sinclair, I can't turn English into Marshall. So would you say...
I don't think it's that big of a difference that I'd sacrifice something huge on the other end, but...
So getting English to Marshall, you'd say just take Martin to Newman.
Yeah, I think it's a big upgrade.
Martin to Newman's huge upgrade in itself. I mean, Sinclair ideal, but getting English to Marshall on the other end and having that be the other.
Marshall's averaging 128 in his last 5, and he's coming off a bad run. Like, he's gone Sydney, Adelaide, West Coast, which were the 2 easy ones, Essendon and Brisbane. So Essendon, Brisbane and Sydney. That's 3 hard matchups. 3 of the hardest matchups in his last 5, and he's averaging 130.
It's okay. Yeah, I got to get him in.
I think we all have to have him.
Yeah.
He's just a beast. So yeah, I think that is the case. So I think a lot of our defence lines after this round will start to look a bit similar, in my opinion.
I mean, it's the time of the year for it.
I think we're all starting to sort of hone in on those players. In the midfield, it's harder to pick because we saw last week some of the guys you trade out can, your Port Adelaide boys, which some people were trading out, came back and whack a big one on your head. So I've got Jack Steele, Treloar and Butters there. The bottom line is, I think there should be minimal trades this week in your midfield. Like, I don't really know someone who's really killing us that we have to trade.
Yeah.
Tom Green, like...
He had the stinky matchup last week.
He had the stinky matchup. And I feel bad because, like, I know I traded him. So, and if I sit here and say, don't trade him, I look like a bit of an idiot. But I traded him with that matchup last week in mind. And I feel less, like, convinced, you should be trading him now.
I think it's more about a lot of people's priorities right at the moment as well.
Yeah.
If we didn't have guys like Sinclair and Newman, who were guys that are putting up big scores and about to go on
The
great
rucks,
runs,
yeah.
as well as the rucks, in Marshall,
and Philippou, yeah.
then a lot of people would be talking about maybe a Tom Green and is that where you can get your points? So you're just looking at your team and you're thinking, where is my best opportunity to get points? So maybe it's not in the midfield this week.
Yeah, it might be in the next couple of weeks. I think we're looking in the mids.
If you are fortunate enough, but Jack Steele,
the run.
Yes. That run. And
he's been actually
back in form.
Great the last little while.
Isn't that frustrating?
Very frustrating. I mean, I traded him out in bloody round 15, and since then, he's only gone under a ton once, and it was 97.
That's killer. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was the first week after
the scores have been absolutely awesome, to be honest. So, he's been in good form and has a good matchup the next two. In the forwards, this is the only one I've made a flip is I have gone Philippou up to number 1 as the number 1 forward target.
How are we currently spoilt for choice in the forwards? Like, what's happening?
Hey, man.
Where was this 22 weeks ago?
There's some options now. Philippou, I've got Tom Power at number 2. Now, do you think he plays more defence? Because he played a bit of midfield.
We did a bit of a combo roll, didn't we?
Yeah, he did a combo roll because there's no Wardle. Now, Wardle's not back.
But remember,
But
Stevenson's
now
also out.
Stevenson's gone. So do you expect him to have a similar role in the mids with a bit of back or more back time?
What would you prefer, firstly?
I think back.
I actually think so too.
Yeah.
Because there have been moments during the season where he's played more of that exclusive midfield and it just hasn't.
Yeah. I think when he's got a license to go for space and get the marks, that's when he scores his best.
That's when it starts to add up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the Stevenson out could potentially help that. It's just kind of where North Melbourne choose to shift the magnets. But I think, second to Philippou, I think he could be a good option if that role stays good because he's a guy who knows how to find the pill.
Yeah. And I've got Peely last in this list. Look, if you're really keen on him, you could trade him in. Obviously, he's gone solid when he's got the opportunity. I just think that opportunity could shrink over the next couple of weeks. So those other two, I think, have more sustained roles over the next 3 weeks to finish the season than Appealing does. So I think a lot of us should at least have one or two of those guys as a rolling F6, F7 sort of option.
Well, mate, we'll try and spend a bit of time answering questions today, so we better get stuck into this next segment first.
Let's do it. Okay, and just like the trades, I actually think the captain's a pretty clear cut this round as well. So all in all, I mean, it'll be interesting because it probably won't go like this, but the way I'm looking at it this week, it seems like the moves seem pretty vanilla. But number 1 this week for me is Rowan Marshall. Like I said, averaging 128 in his last 5 off 3 out of the last 5 being hard matchups. He comes into one of the easiest matchups for rucks, and that is Richmond and the team that gave up 150 to Tristan Sherry last round. So I think there's going to be an absolute bloodbath in this game when it comes to fantasy scoring. And I think Rowan's going to lead the way. The 2 and 3 spot to me were close. I had them flipped around for large portions of the week, but I've gone with Tristan Sherry at number 2. The DFS site has West Coast as like a slightly easy matchup, but we also need to remember that a few weeks ago, Max Gorn got injured at 3/4 time, which kind of shaves a little bit of that off. So when you account for that, the matchup is very, very good. We saw Wits go 140 against them last week. So Tristan Sherry, he's had 9 games this season, just for the whole season, 9 games going over 120. So nearly in half of his games, he goes to 120 plus. So the last 2 obviously were the first 2 over 130. But if we're considering a ceiling score of 120, this guy is getting there as frequently as any other player.
Yep.
And so that put him ahead of Errol Goulden, who I think is a really good option tonight. So he is a guy that he's had one more 150 than a Tristan Sherry. So that super high ceiling, he's at least shown it slightly more frequently. And I think in a matchup against the Pies, they obviously have been shit. He's still been scoring okay. I think they start to turn it around now. What are your thoughts on the Swans, actually? Because you were one of the first that I heard talk about their training block, which has since proven to be true.
Did I get confirmed that?
Yeah, there was who's the...
Oh, God, I'm a smart
boy. I was listening to Warney talk to... is it Drew Jones today? And he basically all but confirmed that for them.
No, I think it's a thing that teams do. So,
hey,
I don't
not
think...
on here just for your good looks.
I mean, last... mostly, but last... Obviously, last week is just obnoxiously bad.
I couldn't, because I was watching the other game, you were watching the Olympics, and you texted me going,
I couldn't believe what I was
the
seeing.
fuck is this score?
Yeah, but I think there's a proper scenario where we go on and we're at the end of September and we're going, the eventual premiers were beaten by 100 points and didn't score a point, in the first.
So you think they'll be fine?
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to look at that.
Does it start this week? Like, do they turn it on tonight?
I don't know, potentially big Friday night game, so there's the opportunity for it. But
because Sam Walsh took 10 marks that he did last week when he'd taken 4 in the previous month. If Errol Goulden gets the license to get the amount of space that Walsh did last week, he's going 140.
Yeah, he definitely could. I want to talk a little bit about, because the top 3 there really does change how your weekend pans out, because if you think Errol is better than X-Harry, then
the order in which
you're going Errol tonight, and then you're waiting all the way through to Marshall, where as if you go the other way. So the fact that you think that Marshall is just going to be on for an absolute zinger against
he's
Richmond,
the last one to play, so I'm fairly confident that he's going to be the guy I go into.
Yeah, of course. But what does that make your line when
I think the line's higher this week.
How high?
See, I'm normally a guy that says 110.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at the best player in the game, which is Ryan Marshall, he's averaged 116.
In one of the best matchups in the game.
Hit 116 is my line if you want to take it on 120.
120 almost.
Yeah, I think it's higher than normal. So last week I got the Adam Treloar 116 and I took it.
Yep.
If that was this week, I'd probably go into Marshall and have a crack.
Yeah.
So I think, maybe 120 this week compared to my normal 110.
Errol is tempting tonight, but hey, the kind of things that Errol can do to you. It could be a tough watch tonight if we don't go there and we're going VC into Sherry.
I think 95% of the people listening, playing, still going at this time of the season will be doing one of these 3 as their captains.
Yeah.
I think they'll be very, very popular. Which is interesting. Like, if you want to go unique and you want to buck the trend a little bit, could you have a look at number 4 or 5 in Brayshaw or Treloar? The thing I will say about Treloar, and we did point this out when we did that Chasing Ceiling segment a couple of weeks ago, he's one of the highest averaging players, but he actually probably gets there more because he's so consistent, never tagged. He has had a couple of 140s, 2 140s for the season, another one in the 130s, but only 3 score over 130.
This time of year,
he's a really safe option. I don't know if he's got the ceiling. So he's number 5 more for safety. Brayshaw, I think, has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, and that probably works out well. I mean, if you happen to go into Treloar, he's the last game of the round, he's not going to be your VC. He's going to be your safe C. Yep. But Brayshaw against Geelong, that could be anything.
It could be big. Could be very big. I don't think there's going to be much tagging going in that game as well. No. So those are my top 5, which really are the only relevant ones. But for completion's sake, number 6, I've got Harry Sheasel. Could get a bit of a tag, I think, from West Coast. They've actually been tagging the last couple of weeks. They were going to tag Sarong, I want to say, a few weeks ago with Zane True, but he got injured, I think, in the first 30 seconds or something like that. But since he's been back, he has been tagging, so watch that one, or he could go to LDU. I've got Merritt in a game against the Gold Coast where he's not going to get tagged at 7. Jack Steele at 8 in that bloodbath. Zach Butters against the Demons and Max Gawn versing him. I don't have Lockie Whitfield in my top 10, and I'm consistently disrespecting this man.
So your intention is to disrespect him so that he continues to go big for us?
It's working. So, if you've got him as a unique or something in your matchup, you're welcome. I've been consistently behind on that man. So
you're just going to...
I don't know. I've got to back in what I've been doing, and the way I've been figuring out these sort of things, it means that Whitfield doesn't make the list. But yeah, he's averaging 130 or something since the bye, so could maybe look like an idiot.
I'm itching to get into this, mate, because I love your spicy take this week. So I might do mine first so we can finish on your big spicy take. Mine is, I don't know if this is vanilla or not, but I think that all of the ruck options, and when I say all the ruck options, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go Grundy, English, Max Gawn, and Ryan Marshall. I'm going to say everyone goes 130 plus.
Grundy, English, Gawn, Marshall, Sherry.
Let's go.
So let's make the big 5.
Yeah. And I mean, Gawn, I think less people have Gawn, but I'm just it's spicy.
Yeah, mate, that's spicy. Fucking spicy. I don't know.
I'm going to say every ruck option's going to go 130 plus.
Well, maybe I shouldn't trade out Team English then this week. Holy shit. Okay, well, let's look out for that one. My spicy take, and I don't know if I don't believe that I moz these if I do or not, but anyway, my spicy take,
Can't go single-hand Maracas matters there. It's more of a
fair.
dual wielding kind of thing.
The Content Creators Cup Grand Final is the Ball Boys show because we are on the other side of the bracket. We both got different matchups this week, and we meet each other in the Grand Final.
Love that
just
spicy take.
Have a laugh. You know,
who's going to win?
The best podcast in the land, guys. Confirmed.
Who's going to win it if we both get there?
I will, obviously.
Nah, false. False.
You're in better form than me. That has to be said. You've on a better win streak than I am. So, 100% could definitely be happening. But regardless, the spicy take is that we're both going to meet each other there. And it's the Ball Boys show.
Nice. Should we quickly catch up on a super chat that we missed there?
Let's do it. Who have we got here?
Jared. First trade, English to Marshall. Love it. Mm-hmm. Second trade, Dowling to the Poussis. Or to a 200K rookie and bank cash. Won his final last week, resting this week.
Okay, so he doesn't need to do much this week. He's banking the moves for next week's final.
This is a great discussion point, isn't it?
It is a good discussion point.
This time of year, we're playing for different things.
It is, yes. So the question here is, like, well, how valuable is the cash before you match up? And to answer that question, I think you've got to take a hard look at your team and see how good you think you're going.
Yeah.
Because if you've got, like, more than two things you want to fix up on your team, if you fix up, like, and get Philippou in now, it gives you... I don't know what you're smiling at.
No, it's Bales and Warney have both commented. I like their comment too.
Moss.
Well, that's Warney must be nervous to take on the mighty Oxlongs because he would have preferred... old mate, I think last time you and...
Oh, he gave me a smack around the head last time. Yeah, absolutely got me.
A bit nervous to take on the Oxlongs.
Yeah, the Oxlongs, they're up and about. I think you guys have got a very similar team, actually.
Oh, okay.
So last time I was listening to they were going through the matchups, and I think not many uniques. But anyway, for the finals, if you think in your team, okay, I've got more than two things I want to fix, then just get the upgrade done now. And I do think that obviously Philippou, he's a better F6, especially with Simkin going into poorer matchups as of next week. Get
the poo in. I mean, you're gonna bank some cash, but if you decide that you want the poo next week,
no, he's doing that instead of banking the cash. He's doing that instead of banking.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, if you get the poo in this week, if you don't get the poo in and you decide to bank cash, and then you decide next week that you want to bring in the poo's
it's just wasted. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and he's increased considerably in value too. Yeah. So lock it in, get that poo, man.
I think he's that good of an option this week that I would prioritise it, and then hopefully you'll have more flexibility to do other moves next week.
All right, Luka Doncic. Love that we have NBA players listening to us. How good is that? Thoughts on Wang over Newman? Newman. And you know how much I love the Wang, Luka.
Yes, Luke does love Wang. Let's look at... So, I mean, Wang's been good. I don't think he's got the ceiling, though.
Yeah, Newman.
I think Newman obviously has shown the ceiling.
Let's go. Both got decent runs coming up.
Both got decent runs.
Get Newman.
I think Newman just has that chance to go huge where I don't think Wanganeen does. All right.
Draft question from Dave. Who misses this week?
Stuart, Wanganeen, Miller, Ryan, or Nick Dacos? Well, let's talk about Nick Dacos. So, do we expect some attention from him tonight?
I think yes.
Yes.
I think
so. They didn't really do anything last week against Port.
No.
But is that them like kind of keeping their cards close to their chest?
Oh, maybe. But I think Sydney will be primed tonight.
Because they're only, 2 points ahead of second place right now. Like, they need to turn it on again.
Yeah, like training block or no training block, when you get absolutely spanked on the tushy, and you have Friday night footy the next week against the Hot Pies on your home turf.
The old Hot Pies. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you pull out all the stops.
I think so. I think Dacos gets some attention. So,
Luke Ryan? I think it's between Luke Ryan and Dacos.
But I think I'm still sitting Ryan. All those things said.
I think I am too.
Yeah. And look, we know what Luke Ryan is, and we know what Luke Ryan can do. But I think last week was more the anomaly. And I think Nick Dacos, even with attention, playing that midfield role, I think he's still good for a 90 plus.
He's so good. And this is why... Yeah, that's why I sit on my side. I can't trade him out. He's too good. And I think shout out to the traders again as well. Like they've talked about this. Sometimes you just got to back in the good player. And Nick Dacos is a much better player than Luke Ryan.
Well said.
So I think that's what you just got to do.
Well said. Time for questions, isn't it? Beautiful. So
Drop your questions down below, guys.
if anyone doesn't happen to get their question answered, what can they do, Mitch?
askmeonq.com/ballboys. Head on over there, guys. Submit your questions, and you can do so in time for your matchups for the finals this week or anything you need answered. Head on over there if you want them answered privately and discreetly into your inbox.
Aiden's got a question here. So he's thinking about banking some cash. Evans down to a 200k player, trading Clark to Sinclair. Clark to Sinclair we love. I think that's what you're doing, Mitch. But then in his scenario, that leaves 300k to get Marshall and Newman in next week. So are you happy to wait a week on Marshall and Newman, or is it like you need these guys now?
Newman, I'm okay to wait in. Marshall makes me nervous.
It does. But the fact of it is this guy probably can't get both in, obviously, this week. Or one of them in Sinclair. He needs to generate cash. So
who would you prefer, and I don't know if this person can do this, if Aiden can do this, would you rather go Jordan Clark to Sinclair or go like an English to a Marshall? Like, where are the points upside there? Because I find this hard to split. English has gone up against Gawn and Grundy the last 2 weeks.
Jordan Clark to me is a 90 guy, and English to me is a 105 guy.
Yeah.
So then it's
Marshall's like what, 120,
and
so
Sinclair.
15.
But Sinclair with the run to me is also almost like he's a 115 guy.
So
am
15 in
am
both.
I stretching? Nah, that's Sinclair. That's Clark to Sinclair.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah. So Clark to Sinclair.
That's Clark to Sinclair.
Is there Richmond? We're not tagging anymore, are we? Graham's not going to Sinclair.
No, we suck ass.
Like. Because there was talk about he wants to leave as well. I think Graham, he doesn't want to be with the Tigers anymore. Part because he doesn't want to fucking tag. Like, he doesn't like playing that role.
Yeah.
I don't see why. Look, there's no point in Richmond tagging.
No.
We want to lose. We want to play our young kids.
I'm going to Clark to Sinclair.
Yeah, so I'm not too worried about that. So I think I actually agree with you.
Couple more sneaky super chats getting in, so we'll jump to them first. Sitting 25th right now. Congratulations, Lakey. Beautiful. Try and mow Mitch down.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if I want to answer this. You should answer this one.
Holmes or Martin out?
Holmes
for me,
or Martin out?
For me, it's Martin. My initial thoughts. But I haven't been keeping track on Holmes.
Holmes scored crap last week against Adelaide,
and it hasn't been awesome the last few.
Yeah, ooh. I think his role was still fine though.
Yeah, the problem with Nick Martin is you're looking there at an 80, but you're looking at a 20 first half.
That 22 first half.
That 80 could have been a 50, no doubt.
Man.
And and then to put that in context, well, the previous 2 weeks as well, he's gone sub 100, which is what Holmes has done anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'm shifting on Martin. For me, I'm moving Martin this week. So if that gives you any insight.
I would say that as well, but I'm a little bit. I've traded Martin a while ago, so I don't know if there's like some bias in there. But I agree with you. I think there's more downside with Martin.
The only little caveat I'll put on that is that we know that Nick Martin is a guy that can give you that crazy game.
The other thing is, especially
in any role.
Well, in Lakey's situation here, Nick Martin is very highly owned, and Holmes is very lowly owned. So there's a little bit of a
you play it safe.
Do you want to play it safe or risk kind of option here?
Okay.
And so the risky option is holding Holmes.
Yeah,
because he's much lowly owned.
Go for the car, Lakey. Fucking fly past Mitch.
I play aggressive, and obviously, trading out Tristan Sherry, it doesn't always work.
No.
But I still think I just would try and back my gut in terms of what I think is the best play, regardless of ownership. And I think that's the best play.
Ditch Martin, go Holmes, but don't come for us. Come for us if Nick Martin goes for like one of those fucking wild games.
Oh shit!
Sahale, super chat, really appreciate it. Sahale says, "Hey boys, absolutely love the work as per usual. Thoughts on Grundy Dowling to Marshall and a 200k Rook, or do we find a loop, premium or punt like poo?"
With Dowling Humphreys down. So Grundy to Marshall, or do a loop with Dowling and Humphreys to poo and someone. I mean, I guess it depends on who your F6 is. So
let's talk about like having your trade locked away first up. So
yeah,
Grundy
You obviously have to do that tonight.
That part of the trade is locked. So
I try not to let that kind of stuff stop me unless there is someone with
an
where
injury
we're actually
cloud or something.
concerned.
Yeah.
Apparently, I've heard Bontas has an ankle, but he plays the last game of the round.
Mate, when he gets injured or sick, he gets 150s.
I know, but
I wish
it's
that
the
guy
one time that we're not going to be worried about it, that it's going to be the time.
No, I wish that guy had an ailment every week. I want him to get COVID again.
I'm so keen on Pooh this week, but I still think you got to get rid of Grundy to go to Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah. Marshall's going to be so big this week.
He's going to be so big this week, next week.
Every week.
Every fucking week.
Yeah, I think you just got to do it.
Okay.
And everyone's going to have him now as well. If he goes big, everyone's got him as captain.
Could kill you.
You're just fucked. Yeah.
Thanks to Hale. Marshall it is, but we got our fingers crossed for you because we got skin in the game there too.
We do.
Jim, we got super chats coming in, Mitch.
Yes.
Jim, hey lads, Tom Green, Sinclair, and Dowling to Pooh. I like that.
Tom Green, Sinclair, Dowling.
Or
Yeah.
Rookie down and English to the X-Man. Don't have any cash in the bank.
Okay.
No, I'm going the first option. Green to Sinclair, Dowling to Pooh.
Again, it depends on who you got at F6. So, I mean, if Dowling was at F6, then yes, I'm going that option. Like, if you were doing a Dowling manner kind of thing, I'm doing that option. English to X-Man.
But Tom Green to Sinclair.
X plays early, doesn't he? You can't have a look at your forward before you decide, can you? No, they play 145.
I think you're going to get more points out of that first option because, X-Man, yes, he's gone 130 twice and it's been recent. He's shown us uber ceiling recently. But if we look on the weight of numbers, he's more that 120 guy. And I think English can be that 110 guy.
He's got a better matchup this round.
Yeah, so I think he can be that 110 guy. That's only 10 points, whereas Tom Green to Sinclair, that's going to be
does that gain
30 points this week.
Does it? He got 120 against the Lions earlier this year.
Nah, Sinclair's big this week. It's the matchup. He went big last week as well.
It is a coin flip. So I'm gonna back you in here. I'm gonna back you in. It's a coin flip.
Okay.
I'm maybe I'm jaded with Cherry. I feel like my side has been off with him because obviously I didn't do this move, which I should have done last week.
Sorry, I forgot that English to the X-Man is your trade. So that's full transparency, Jim. That's what Mitch is doing. So English to X-Man, but I just have a feel the other way around.
But I'm also getting Sinclair in this week, so I'm doing both.
But remember, we just sit here and talk shit. Just because we wear headphones doesn't fucking mean we know anything.
Yep.
So we need a little disclaimer.
Yeah,
don't listen to us.
Yeah, do what Power Prawn Star does and just go the opposite every time.
It's working for him. He's doing well.
He says he's doing well.
Tim, appreciate your super chat as well, mate. You said Myers to the Pooh, Grundy to Marshall.
Yep, I like that.
Or would you go Young to Dunks?
Dunks,
Dunks, I think. Martin, Sarong to Trelaw. Or Martin or Sarong.
Young, Dunks, Martin, Sarong. Sorry, any of those options to Trelaw.
I think.
I think on the first one, regardless. I think.
Okay.
I think on the first one, regardless. Hayden Young and Sarong both have Geelong this week. Back those boys in. They're going to have a big one.
Yeah.
Martin. I mean, maybe it's Martin to Trelaw. I'd actually love Martin to Trelaw if that's one of the options.
Yeah.
Within that question, I like that.
Yeah, the question's a little bit tricky too. But I think you've summarised your general thoughts on each of those players.
Yeah, if I'm prioritising the move, it's Grundy to Marshall, Martin to Trelaw as my two top favourites.
Yep, sweet.
Whatever you can afford out of those two.
Sweet. Appreciate all the chats coming in, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the love, everyone.
Hutchmate's got a question as well. Thinking of going Clark to Sinclair and waiting for Myers' score before choosing Dowling to Pooh or Martin. That sounds like perfect play, doesn't it? Wait on the score.
I think, I mean, and that's kind of what I did last week with Myers' score.
You won't, and he's waiting on Myers' score too,
Yeah.
so you won't have to wait long. It'll be shit. So
they play, I think, the 4:35 game on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So that leaves you plenty of time because the Carlton don't play till Sunday, so not even that stressful. So yeah, I like the plan of action there for sure.
Thank you, Ryan, for the super chat and the little, is that a unicorn?
Little unicorn sticker.
Unicorn emoji.
Oh, that's very cute, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate it. Giorgio, Polly. Appreciate it. Nick and Clark. So I'm guessing that Nick, Martin and Clark to
Yep.
Newman and Sinclair. I've just creamed my jeans. That sounds great.
It does sound great.
Or Tim and Myers to Marsh and Pooh. That also sounds great.
Man, these are tough choices.
These trades are so good. Okay, so we'll break it down. So Nick Martin
So
and Clark.
you're cleaning up in defence.
Yeah, you're going. I reckon those trades are netting you 40+ points in defence, and I reckon that's almost safe this week.
Yeah, that's conservative.
Okay, or
Tim
Myers and Pousis could, if Myers pulls his finger out, go.
He's got a wider ground this time.
Simple.
He struggles at Geelong.
And then Tim English and Marshall. I think that's still 20 points this week.
I think the first one feels more guaranteed to give you points.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too.
I think the other two, there's a chance that... I feel like there's a chance you lose points. Whereas I really don't feel there's much of a chance you lose points in the first trade.
Touch wood for Giorgio.
Sure.
Okay, Giorgio.
Looks like Bales doesn't want to get me in Sherry this week.
What's Bales said?
He said, damn it, Mitch, don't get Sherry this week. I think that's his trade plans as well.
Aye.
Look, I just can't do it. I can't not have him in.
It's killing you.
I should have traded him in when I had to trade out Max. But I was an idiot, and now I'm righting my wrong. And I'm going to stop the slide. It's time. I can't. I was listening to actually the Fantasy Fanatics, and Warney was on Tuesday. And I don't know how. I have no idea how. It bewilders me. But I feel like I'm starting to get this rep of someone who tweets and complains a lot.
Yeah, you're a complainer, and you don't know. I'm not. But I was going to say,
Tristan Sherry will help me right that wrong because he's been a source of a lot of my complaining recently.
Look, I don't know about the complaining. I will say you do tweet a lot. I don't know what you're tweeting because I'm absent, but you do tweet a lot.
It's a event.
Watching footy with you this weekend is hopefully going to be a lot easier with you having Sherry and better on my walls and your phone.
Hey, the phone's still working fine.
Yeah, my wall still needs
You've got a nice cushiony
Gyprock.
mat there that it bounced on first. So
yeah, we do have the muscle mat. Yeah. Okay, good. We keep going. We keep going. So
maybe a couple more, and then we'll go. Oh, look at this spicy take here from
Lakey. Spicy take. Memory F1 this week. I like spicier the better.
Tim Membry, who have they got? Oh, actually, he dominated the West Coast Eagles for 150, and he's got the Cones and Richmond this week. I like it. I see where your mind was going there.
Let's do 3 more questions.
Okay, 3 more questions.
Mr. Red Footy, Martin or Dacos out to get in the Whitfield?
I think it has to be Martin for me.
I think so too.
This just goes back to me in terms of the player who's got the better role.
Yeah.
Regardless of tags. They're both good players, but Nick Dacos is on another level of good player.
There is a scenario where Dacos goes like a sub 70 this week if Sydney really decide to go balls to the wall. But
I don't think he's having 22.5.
No, but I do agree with you in saying when it comes down to it, who's got the role?
Dacos got the role.
Who's the better player?
Dacos.
Who works harder? Dacos. Do you know what I mean? There's just too many things that line up for
Nick
Dacos.
Martin does work pretty hard, but yeah.
No one works harder than Dacos.
No one does. This could come back to bite me and others who have Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
Because there could be a lot of attention coming his way. The Pies will do whatever it takes to get him involved in the game. And it'll be, I think it'll be serviceable. I don't know if the scenario of him going like a 70 kind of score is very likely. It's possible, but I don't know if it's very likely.
Yeah.
I think he gets his way to an 80 plus at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. Tonight could be a really good game.
It's a big game.
Sydney to come out firing.
Collingwood are fighting for their finals life.
And Collingwood are a club that historically plays well on the road too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna watch that game with much anticipation. Tim's jumped in to just clarify his question before. So yes, Myers to Pooh and Grundy to Marshall, or is it? Yeah. So basically, what he was saying before.
Yeah.
Or is it Young, Martin, Dunkley?
Sarong.
I'm
going Martin to Treloar out of that one.
Yeah.
And then, do you prefer Grundy to Marshall or Myers to Pooh?
I prefer Grundy to Marshall. My Pooh.
Spicy Take said Grundy goes 130.
Yeah, it's spicy for a reason. It's like peri extra hot.
Yeah, no,
Black
fair. My Spicy Take was Whitfield goes under a ton last week, and we went 140 nearly, so
Hey.
they're not always the best reliable source of info.
You just throw a butt at the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with you. Yeah,
I reckon it's
lock
time
that
for us
in.
to go, mate.
That might do it for us. Bales is saying that I've got Laird as unique in the matchup. That's Karma 101 right there.
Yeah,
Hope Laird is on my side, actually.
Yeah, well, Leddy...
He's met Laird. Bales has met Laird a couple of times.
Leddy and
Maybe
Bales,
he's roped him in.
2Ps, but no, Leddy's going to go 140 this week.
Hopefully, I'm now hoping he is on that halfback line because it's a better matchup for halfbacks this week. Last week he was in the worst matchup. He's probably going to flip it, but we'll see. Yes, so thank you very much, guys, for listening. Again, head over to Ask Me on Q /Ballboys if you want to get your questions answered if we didn't get to them today. Hopefully you guys all go very well this week and your trades succeed, your captain fires, and you guys make it to the next stage of your finals in your league matchups. Until then, we'll see you guys on Monday. Bye!